Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. Welcome to the live stream. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you have joined our town hall earlier today, I thank you really wholeheartedly for your input and contribution. Thank you so much for your time and your trust. And I truly appreciate you. If you missed it, as promised, I did not record any interviews or any videos, any snippets or tidbits or audio. So please join us next time because I want that to be our safe spot to have a conversation with each other. So today we're going to talk about. President, we're going to talk about vice president, second gentleman, first lady. We're going to see what they're doing, what they're at, and what are the updates. And also, I have included a tidbit about Secretary of State Blinken. He is traveling in Indo-Pacific, and some very important updates are coming from that region, which I think you should know about. So I'm going to have a readout from State Department as well. So I know it's Saturday. I know you're busy, so I don't want to overstay my welcome. Let's start right away. About our president, I have a readout first. Um, as I reported yesterday, he's in Camp David till Sunday. Tomorrow he's going to return to the White House. So not many announcements there. But what I hear coming from his team is that president is set to announce a major Supreme Court reform on Monday. Likely including term limits and an enforceable ethics code. He's also expected to advocate for a constitutional amendment to limit presidential immunity. So that is what is expected from him on Monday. Again, we'll see if that happens. But again, from his team, that is what we're hearing. So just wanted to let you know. Um, Now, let's talk about the First Lady. She's, of course, in Paris. As I mentioned, she flew overnight to Paris right after the president has addressed the nation. She participated in several events, met with American or with families of American athletes, then saw the athletes, wished them best of success. She was then yesterday at the opening of the Olympic Games. And so today she was busy attending three events. Two of them are covered. One is private because she went ultimately tonight to support the swimmers. And there is no coverage because she wants that to be private. So, first and foremost, she attended today an event that celebrated the upcoming Olympics in LA. If you may have heard, the next Summer Olympics in 2028 are held in Los Angeles, which is for the third time. So, just few remarks that the First Lady has mentioned. She says the last time Los Angeles hosted in 1984, we saw the first Olympic marathon for women, the first athlete using a wheelchair to compete in the Olympics, and the perfect hands that earned gold medals in women's gymnastics. Not to mention an up and coming athlete who would just finished his last college season, Michael Jordan. See how far we go when LA has hosted the Olympics. Michael Jordan's the icon, right? The GOAT. But that time he was just introduced to the world stage. She says, we've come a long way in 4 decades, and I'm grateful that the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee will push us even further in the next 4 years for women, for Paralympic athletes, and for all the kids who will watch the games, dart out the backyard with a stopwatch and see if they can run as fast as Gabby Thomas. Planning the Olympics and Paralympics is not a solo sport, she says. It takes lots of work to welcome 15,000 athletes, prepare for millions more spectators, and outfit venues for more than 50 sports. Also, when she was asked about the next Winter Olympics in 2034, which will be in Salt Lake City, she says, well, maybe you're like me thinking, how old am I going to be that time? Because it's going to be in 10 years. Because she was asked whether she's going to be representing the, Team USA there. And she's like, how old am I going to be in 10 years? But first they focused on the LA Olympics. So she says, but with our phenomenal team, the LA Games will allow the world to unite and a generation of athletes to soar. And six short years later, we'll gather around the snowy mountains of Utah for the 2034 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City. I'm so excited that millions of people will get the chance to experience its majesty through the Olympics. Congratulations to SLC 34 team for your hard work. And another story, you know me by now, I like mentioning what's happening on the background. Some heartfelt moments, because that's what I think makes politics personal. And I certainly am sure that politics are personal, and as much as business is personal, it's all humans relating to humans. And I think as long as we treat it on a human level, then we can all together achieve a common goal, which is to be seen, heard, respected, and understood. My humble opinion. So, a beautiful story is Casey Wasserman. I pronounce names in German way because I grew up in Germany, so forgive me for that. A chairperson for LA 28 Olympic and Paralympic Games. She spoke introducing the First Lady. And so she said, so the first event that Mayor Garcetti and I went to when we were bidding for the Olympics was in September 2015. As we recall, 2015, Biden was VP, Obama president. So, and it is what the Association of National Olympic Committees at the Washington, so the Association of Olympic Committees met at Washington Hilton. In case you hadn't noticed, the IOC and some of its leadership feels that they're like heads of state and expect to be treated and get that kind of welcome. And I'll skip the reasons why. But President Obama would not have them come to the White House. And so she described a situation where they tried to draw the attention of the administration, but somehow they couldn't get President on board to pay enough attention. And so she says, we were 3 miles from the White House, which was a big deal, and we can't get his attention. But what we had, someone saved the day. Vice President Biden, he showed up at the association conference, which is the heads of every Olympic committee in the world, unannounced. He came on stage and spoke for 20 minutes and blew the room away. And I will tell you, it set the stage for a totally different relation with the Olympic Committee for our 2-year journey and to bid for the game. That was a really special moment. So again, the stories about President Biden even made it to Paris when they talked about the Olympic Games in LA 2028. Also, a busy time in the US, right? Because we have World Cup, the Soccer World Cup next summer. I think New York, New Jersey are on board to host it, and then the Olympics. That's cool. So next, she went to cheer on the women's polo team, water polo team. They played against Greece, and U.S. won 15-6. And so there, First Lady was seated a couple tiers away from tiers away. Second, she was seated by the Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis and other members of U.S. delegation, including Mayor Karen Bass, basketball coach Staley, and former figure skater Brian Boitano. And so there, during the match, she was connected to Flavor Flav of Public Enemy, because he is the official sponsor and official hype man for the U.S. Women's water polo team. And I have a video of that. So let's take a look how the First Lady met with Flavor Flav. So after the game, after the match in the athletes lounge, First Lady met members of U.S. women's water polo team and expressed her astonishment at the skill and strength involved in water polo. She later mentioned that she has never seen such game or never watched water polo, but she fell in love with that, and She kept, being mesmerized about the game throughout the day, pretty much. She gave coins to the team members. The coins featured the Paris cityscape and the words Paris 2024 Olympic Summer Games and Presidential Delegation. So that was the event number one. Then she went to another event which focused on women's health research. And as you may have heard, the White House has invested a lot of money, invested a lot of effort to propelling the research when it comes to women's health. So here are some quotes or just parts of First Lady's speech. So she says, the last time the Olympics were in Paris, less than 5% of the athletes were women. So now, a century later, almost the same number of women and men are competing in Paris. These Olympic Games are the closest we've ever come to gender parity. And then she says women's health is understudied and research is underfunded. We have significant gaps in our understanding of conditions that mostly affect women, only affect women, or affect women differently. And as a result, all women have to navigate medical world largely designed for men and rely on medications, treatments, health products, and medical school textbooks based on men. Again, it's a fact. She says if you ask any woman about her health care, she likely has a story to tell. You know her. She's the woman who tore her ACL with a long road to recovery. She's the woman whose concussion symptoms linger and linger. She's the woman wondering why it took so long to treat her fibroids. She's the woman going through menopause who sits with her doctor and leaves with more questions than answers. And then she speaks about this is why last year we launched the first ever White House initiative on women's health research, and President called on Congress to provide $12 billion to push the work further. Now, she says, by investing in women's health research, we can ensure that our athletes and all women can keep reaching for those bright tomorrows ahead. And thanks to all of you, the momentum feels unstoppable. We can't let this moment pass us by. So this was the second event, and then in the evening she went to cheer for American swimmers and athletes, and she did not drag any press pool with her, so we will see pictures and footage, but certainly not pool reports. And I'm happy she has some time without reporters, running behind her. So let's grant her that. Meanwhile, the White House is lit in red, white, blue, celebrating Team USA, not France, Team USA, because some people were asking. This will happen every night from 8 p.m. to 11 until August 11th, until the ceremony that will conclude the Olympic Games. By the way, the closing ceremony would be, of course, having a delegation from the US, and the delegation is, who leads the delegation is our second gentleman. Okay, so another story about the Olympics. If you may have watched the opening ceremony, it was a bit controversial. I know the MAGA world and sort of the conservative world went all wild today about that. And so this is the picture they went wild about. So this is close up. So they, during the ceremony, they focused on they focused on debunking historical myth and anything that France is famous for, but somehow they also tapped into religion as well, which, of course, here you see the Last Supper, and so they presented, I guess, the sort of Disney characters, or I don't know what that was, but I'm not I'm a Christian, but I understand that art pushes the narrative many times, and sometimes deservingly so. I feel it's a bit interesting here. I let you decide what you think about it. I will read out what the French said about it. They said, we in France don't bow to religious extremists of any kind for any reason. We're a tolerant, open country that stands by the ideas of enlightenment, so take your bigotry elsewhere. Here you go. So that's the French. Another news about the Olympic team. If you may have missed, Beyonce has endorsed Team USA. She presented a whole fantastic video connected with Team USA that I want to show you and truly enjoy. So go ahead, just 2 minutes. Okay, so that is a fantastic video, and I just bowed down to see how long it will take. Somehow I shut it down for you. But Beyonce is, of course, on TikTok, so you can find the video there and follow her, and she's totally going all in to endorse Team USA. So that's it about the Olympics. Let's talk about our VP, Kamala Harris. So she has been, of course, I have a video of her boarding the plane. She was headed to a campaign event today that I will report on. It was in Massachusetts. So take a look. Here she's boarding Air Force Two. I have a feeling it was filmed on like iPhone 1. Anywho, so this event, and this is I'm sharing on behalf of the Harris campaign. The event will bring over $1.4 million, up from the original goal, which was just 400K. With roughly 800 attendees. It will be the largest event in Berkshires since former First Lady Michelle Obama visited in 2012. James Taylor introduces VP Harris. Other than speakers include Senator Elizabeth Warren, Senator Ed Markey, former Governor Patrick, Representative Richie Neal, and historian Heather Cox Richardson. So I have the introduction, which is truly heartfelt. So James Taylor introduced VP Harris. He described walking onto the stage the day before with Yo-Yo Ma and Emmanuel X and seeing the sign at the back of the stage that reads Harris for President. Taylor pointed up the sign. We saw this for the first time and were absolutely struck by the moment. What it meant that this is here. It is with us. This is happening. Taylor said, we lucky few at the Colonial Theater this afternoon are among the first to officially support this historic candidacy, and let us honor the woman and the moment, and may our ardent support be the wind in her sails. Our hopes go with her, and she stands for us all. It is my privilege, honor, and great pleasure to introduce the next president of the United States. And the crowd, of course, stood up, cheered very loudly. Also, some quotes from VP Harris at the event. She says, what kind of country do we want to live in? Do we want to live in a country of freedom, compassion, and rule of law? Or do we want to live in a country of chaos, fear, and hate? We are the underdogs in this race, she says. Level set. Okay, we are the underdogs in this race, but this is a people-powered campaign. You may have noticed, she says, Donald Trump has been resorting to some wild lies about my record. And some of what he and his running mate are saying, well, is just plain weird. I mean, that's the box you put that in. Weird. You may have seen he just pulled out of our debate. I hope he reconsiders because we have a lot to talk about. And so she also, before that, met with some families, business owners at the White House who benefited from the Biden-Harris administration taking the medical debt out of the entire debt that is reporting that would affect somebody's score. So she met with the families. Take a look of one part of the interview with one family.
Are small business owners, you are parents of two beautiful sons, yes. And you have a story to share about medical debt.
We have been entrepreneurs for a long time, but my wife has a condition that gets kidney stones. 30,000,
Yeah,
2,700, 1,500 for anesthesia.
I owe this hospital $30,000. And I'm a person that likes to keep my word. I like to pay my bills. I like to do the right thing. But when you're faced with something like that, what do you do? So our credit score dropped about from 600s to the 400s after this happened. If we needed to take out a loan for a small business, that affects it.
Right.
If we need to try to buy, lease a vehicle, a fleet vehicle, buy tools for our staff, we can't do that. So it keeps us from growing our business.
So one of the things that we're doing with our proposal is to make sure that your medical debt cannot be counted against your credit score.
It's a huge step
It is
because we can now set up an arrangement that we can commit to.
Yeah,
And that comes off, then that score goes up a little more.
that's right.
And now with that gives you a little hope that I can pay off
And
these other
breathing room.
merchants and
Yes.
other things. And then once we're growing, we're actually growing. And that's all we
That's
want
right.
to see. We want to grow ourselves and we want to help other people
That's
grow.
right.
And perhaps you are the one affected by this new policy, which certainly does benefit those who are trying to run a business, trying to rent a car, as they mentioned, trying to get even a cell phone, and can benefit from medical debt not affecting the credit score. So also, some reports are coming unofficially from the Harris campaign that her search for a running mate now has a short list of 3. This is Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and she's expected to make her selection by August 7th. So, just sharing. Now to the second gentleman. And today I want to spend some time getting to know him, shall we? Because we don't really hear from him much or haven't heard yet, but I found some videos that you might find interesting. So first, he was at the campaign event in Maine, and here are some photos that he posted. He said, "Is that a Springsteen concert or a campaign event for Kamala Harris? I can't decide because there was such a hype and so much support that he felt. But he's now fully on campaign trail. I shared where he's going to travel next week. It's really almost 2 events every day. So he's taking up his role. So he also recorded a video for Team USA. So I want you to take a look at it because he will be, by the way, as I mentioned, going to the closing ceremony to Paris 2024. So take a
Team
look.
USA, you've got the entire country rooting you on in Paris. We know you're going to do it, and I can't wait to get there for the closing ceremonies. Bring home the gold.
Bring on the gold. And by the way, some photos have surfaced about of young Doug Emhoff, second gentleman, and Kamala Harris. Here's the photos. Of course, they met a bit later in life, but there you see them in a young format. Yeah, young age, which is sweet. Another video where Doug actually shares more about his life and him coming from California and his favorite spot. So take a look. It's just 1 minute and 24 seconds.
I usually get a bagel, but when I'm really going for it, where's the poppy muffin? Hey everybody, I am Doug Emhoff, the first second gentleman of the United States. I live right here in Los Angeles, even though I may be in DC right now. Los Angeles is my home. So this is my coffee shop. And look at this beautiful array of food that they have here at the farm shop. For me, it's just one of those places that I just keep going back and back to. It's just black coffee.
Oh, right.
I'm so boring. And maybe sometimes I'll get a bagel if I'm hungry. Then we go out to the tables. That's what I normally do. And that's where I get my haircut right there. I was there yesterday. This is my neighborhood place, so I've been coming here so long with the kids, with Kamala. When I'm home, I just try to be home. Will Rogers State Park, which is in my neighborhood, a place that I actually coached my kids right on those fields. And then I transitioned to a referee because I was a little too annoying to my son as a coach. A year or so ago, Vice President and I took a hike up there, and there's these beautiful benches right on the top. We just kind of sat up there and just looked at how beautiful our coastline was. I think you can see out to Catalina. traveling the world on behalf of our country, supporting my wife. Life has become a little surreal, and when I get to come back to Los Angeles, it really is home.
It's a California boy, but how lovely. I hope you enjoyed the lovely part of our programming today, because we're getting to the nasty of it all. So hope you're ready. Donald Trump went on a I don't know what it was, but he shared some weird statements yesterday. He was talking to Christian community. The first statement was that went viral about voting, or actually no need to vote in 4 years if people do elect him. So take a look.
And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
He's not a Christian, but he's selling Bibles. He's not a Christian, but he's posing with the Bible when it's beneficial. Even the Bible was upside down, but who cares? We're going to fix it so good. You won't even need to vote. And vote is, yes, fundamental right. And somebody commented under this video that I posted yesterday that voting is not fundamental right. It is. And it is fundamental part of democracy. And I answered quoting court and constitution. So it is fundamental right. Now, the Kamala Harris campaign has finally issued a statement, finally, because it came in today, and that speech was yesterday. They said, when Vice President Harris says the election is about freedom, she means it. Our democracy is under assault by criminal Donald Trump. After the last election, Trump lost. He sent a mob to overturn the results. This campaign, he has promised violence if he loses, the end of our elections if he wins, and the termination of the Constitution to empower him to be a dictator to enact his dangerous Project 2025 agenda on America. Donald Trump wants to take America backward to a politics of hate, chaos, and fear. This November, America will unite around Vice President Kamala Harris to stop him. I mean, how disgraceful. But if you think about this being disgraceful, watch this video.
It was so bad, and they pretended it was good. And they're doing the same thing with her. She was a bum 3 weeks ago. She was a bum. A failed vice president in a failed administration.
So now Kamala Harris is a bum. A bum. It's an acting vice president in the administration with big achievement. The achievement the Trump administration cannot dream of. Listen, I have no words. You know what is worse? The worst is not him saying that, because we know it deranged, but calculated and deranged. Bad mix, but it does exist. The worst is to watch this and still vote for him. That is worse. That means you're okay with all that. That means you want 4 years and endless years if he comes in with that. That means you okay not voting. That means you're okay calling women bums and talking about their uterus being damaged by alleged abortions, spreading nonsense, treating women this way. Disgusting. He also posted this picture, continuing his PR thing about the assassination attempt. Again, I'm not discussing whether it's true or not true, but what I'm seeing is a PR campaign surrounding assassination attempt. Let's talk about that first. We still have no results. We don't have medical reports. We have absolutely nothing. And FBI allegedly is also wishy-washy. Can we demand, and on your behalf I will demand, the White House, the Congress, or FBI also issue a statement? Have they done the investigation? What have they done to investigate? And what are the results? Because you, taxpayers, have paid for it. So I will do my job and demand it. Write them, call them, and let's see what we get as a result. But the campaign trail continues. He posted on True Social that he will be going back to Butler for a big and beautiful rally honoring the soul of our beloved firefighter hero Corey, whose name he can't pronounce, and those brave patriots injured 2 weeks ago. What a day it will be. Fight, fight, fight. Stay tuned for details. Are we talking about unity? Are we talking about lowering the temperature in this political race? And you add fight, fight, fight? By the way, talking about ears, that's him today, July 27th, which is today. Photographed by AP, Associated Press, which is trustworthy, 11:01 a.m. No bandage was needed. This is the ear. I let you decide what you think about it. On my end, I will do my job and demand, once again, reports, not from the Trump team, but now from those who did the investigation, because they haven't heard anything. And you guys paid for it. So, JD Vance recorded a promo which was this low energy type of thing, and then we're gonna get into some weird stuff. Sorry. So here's the promo.
Do you want higher inflation? Do you want lower prices on groceries and housing? If you want higher inflation, vote for Kamala Harris. If you want lower prices, vote for Donald Trump. Do you want a wide open border? Then vote for Kamala Harris. If you want to close down that border and get the drug dealers and the fentanyl out of our communities, vote for President Trump. The contrast is very simple. Kamala Harris has supported all of the most unpopular policies. So yeah, she's going to get a little bit of a honeymoon, Megyn, but the truth is the truth. She's extremely liberal. Her policies have been bad for this country. They'd be even worse if we gave her another 4 years. We can't do that. And I think Americans are smart enough to recognize that. We just have to prosecute our case, get our voters out there, make sure people are knocking on doors and getting the message out. That is the job of a presidential campaign. And I feel very good about where we are.
What I feel good about is about his whatever liner. I want to know what that is. That maybe line. Talking about low energy. This was not low energy. Check this out. It's Trump Jr. interviewing JD Vance, but I don't know what that is, but watch this.
Like there's some of them are like, we don't even want white women. Like it doesn't we need to check like 3 or 4 boxes so you can end up in like, if you're like, a trans communist, this, that, and the other, like you too can be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company with no experience whatsoever. He's actually spent real time with them. Like, and he's sort of, I would say he's the blue-collar billionaire. And 15 years ago when I said it, people used to shit all over me. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you don't understand. And now they understand. What the borders are, wrote the article. It wasn't even like it was the same publication. It was the same journalist. I'm like, this you? Like, to literally save democracy, because it's literally at risk, JD. That's why I keep hearing notion that, democracy is all things, but if the elite, meaning, Barack Obama, the Clintons, a couple billionaire donors be like, okay, this isn't working. We're going to take everything we gave you. We didn't give you any other options. We threw, RFK off the ticket. Yep. We basically tried to push anyone else from happening. So we gave you your only choice. You actually then chose that person. And now America is not there. Now they're pretending, no, she's a moderate. They did the same thing with Joe Biden. He's going to be so moderate. He's so moderate. Look, he's moderate. Yeah. The policy.
You know what is entertaining is that he's copying his dad, but then also he's on something that makes it all sound very fast and wild. And the name of this show is Triggered. That's a good name. I have to say, that's a good name. Whatever he said, first of all, very difficult to understand, and it's not true. Like, what are you talking about, honey? Then again, JD Vance, pay attention now to his outfit. He was at the campaign event. He complained about food, and he tried to combine that with raising money. Take a look.
Hey guys, JD Vance here in Radford, Virginia. I thought I'd take you behind the scenes a little bit. When you get to an event, they've got a ton of crap for you to drink and eat. You got 3 bottles of Diet Mountain Dew, about a dozen Snickers, a bag of chips. If I ate even half this stuff, of course, I'd balloon up like crazy. This is the energy that powers the presidential and vice presidential campaign. Of course, I'm honored to be supporting President Trump. I'm honored to be his running mate. If you want to help us, chip in $5, chip in $15 to get the message out and to get people to the polls. This election is so important. Your resources help us do the things we need to win it.
What? So first of all, nobody expected him to eat half of that stuff. I mean, that, I guess, is not the goal. What did food and junk food have to do with his campaign and raising $5? Is that for the food? this is the food that I don't eat because it's going to make me blow up. Meanwhile, he did mention that he was drinking Mountain Dew, trying to make that joke at a rally, if you recall, where he said, I had this yesterday and today, and liberals will say it's racist. And then now, I don't get it. This is all nonsense. This all has no factual um, value. It doesn't, it doesn't bring any value here. And it doesn't get you any information. Now, the next clip gets you information, perhaps not the information you were calling for. Because as you may recall, J.D. Vance's wife is, I think, of an Indian descent. Please let me know if I'm confused. My bad, I had to Google that before. But certainly we saw that, we appreciate it, we see it, right? Now, check out J.D. Vance in that regard, talking about his wife on a show.
Look, I love my wife so much. I love her because she's who she is. Obviously, she's not a white person, and we've been attacked by some white supremacists over that. But I love Usha. She's such a good mom.
Now you're excusing your choices as to whom you chose to be your wife in front of white supremacists. You are running in a party that represents those views, honey, if you didn't know. Or perhaps somebody was as slow as me, Googling where she's coming from or what her cultural background is. An interesting fact. Now, back to sort of happier, happy, sad, but human part of the world. Let's talk about Ukraine a little bit. You may recall a few weeks ago, Russia has bombed the biggest children's hospital in Kiev that was treating kids with cancer. And so today, President Zelensky and the First Lady has visited the kids. And here's a video of just 4 seconds of a brief interaction between President Zelensky and a kid that he was holding on his arm. So take a look. And there was much more of that. And here's a quote from Zelensky. I thank everyone who's helping the hospital, who was there after the Russian missile hit and cleared the rubble, supporting the children. Thank you to everyone in the world who supports Ukrainians. So I thought this video was worth sharing, even for 4 seconds. That's human. Again, politics is human, business is human, life is human. We have to get back to decency and humanity and being normal and being people and start being gossip machines. Okay, let's talk briefly. I mentioned I will quote Secretary Blinken a little bit, covering his, I don't cover the State Department, but I don't think this has been covered in the news. So he is in the Indo-Pacific, traveling from place to place, holding negotiations and pretty tough conversations. So First Secretary of State met with Vietnamese PM Pha Minh Chinh. Sorry if I mispronounced it. I mispronounced a bunch of stuff, but sorry. Today in Hanoi to express his deepest condolences for the loss of General Secretary, which I announced, or I shared the official statement from President Biden on that as well. So both Blinken and the Vietnamese PM welcomed the progress the United States and Vietnam have made together in implementing the comprehensive strategic partnership that the General Secretary and President Biden announced in September 2023. As we know, Vietnam is is a part of an issue we're having with China, right? So hence it's important. Secretary Blinken also met with Vietnamese President To Lam, conveying the same message. Obviously, they also talk about Taiwan. They also talk about, the IP4, as they call them, the 4 countries that joined the NATO conference to sign the agreements with NATO, with the United States, to collaborate and cooperate militarily in case there are any threats in Indo-Pacific, which there are. Obviously, headlining all of it is China, and hence Secretary Blinken was meeting with Chinese representatives as well. So he met Secretary of State Blinken and PRC Foreign Minister Wang Wei met in Laos on July 27th, today, during the Asian related ministerial meetings. Their discussions covered a wide range of topics, including bilateral relations, regional stability, and global challenges. Blinken stressed the need for ongoing diplomatic engagement to manage competition and advance cooperation, particularly on issues like narcotics, military communication, and human rights. He also addressed concerns about the South China Sea, Taiwan's trade stability, and PRC support for Russia. As you may recall, PRC, China, is sending particles that are used by Russia to build the missiles to hit Ukraine. So, hence, they're benefiting Russia's strength or strengthening them in their attack on Ukraine. So, also, both parties agreed on the importance of maintaining open communications in the future. So, this is on Blinken. I think we need to monitor that, and we need factual information, and hence this was partially also what we talked about during our town hall as to how to I shared ideas. I've heard your ideas. Thank you. We will have more town halls, so if you missed it, you are invited to the next one for sure, and we'll make sure not to have that on the weekend, but to have it during the weekdays, so you have a bit more time, because I understand it's summer Saturday, and I know my place. Okay, but I'm very grateful for those who have joined. This is all from me. Again, please subscribe to our Substack, onest.substack.com. It's free. You get all your news, actual news, all in one email by the end of the day into your mailbox. You can share it, you can read it. There are clips, there are videos, there are different photos and factual footage, factual coverage, background coverage, and much more. So you have your factual news all in one spot. You can also open it as a website if you don't like email. And if you're watching on YouTube, Onest Network on YouTube, please follow. Yesterday's video was banned for whatever reason, so I will dive into that, trying to restore it. But I think today's video should be fine. I didn't show any clips that might fall under any type of copyright. So thank you so much for joining me. Have a peaceful weekend. Have a great Sunday, rest of your Saturday, and a great Sunday. And I'm reporting real time, so coverage does not end. But we're going to see each other on the live stream on Monday at 8 p.m. per usual. So thank you, and please share it if you found it valuable. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.